It's been 2 years since the full-scale invasion. The conflict in Ukraine started long before in 2014, with some part of the territory being occupied. But obviously the full-scale invasion brought a lot of atrocities and massive attacks targeted at civilians. And so that's when we started looking at those crimes and building cases. Something that's very specific to the Ukrainian conflict since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, it's the number of legal avenues that have been triggered. Whether we're speaking of international mechanisms for international justice or domestic jurisdiction, opening investigations, so countries, whether it's in Ukraine, the national authorities, the investigators, the prosecutors have demonstrated very early on in the conflict that they were willing and capable of investigating the war crimes and the mass atrocities as they were happening. We've seen about 15 countries who've opened investigation onto crimes committed in Ukraine based on their extraterritorial jurisdiction. We can think of the ICC, who very quickly opened investigation as well and issued arrest warrants against the top leadership, which was unheard of. So in terms of legal avenues, there is more than enough. That's not where the challenges are. The real challenge here is the fact that most of the suspects, or at least the high-level suspects that are really the most responsible for those atrocities, if they're not fighting in Ukraine, they're in Russia. We need to stop them. Most of those commanders, it's not the first time that they're being linked to similar type of atrocities being committed against civilians. In other contexts, we can think of Syria, we can think of Chechnya. There was the same common structure in place from the Russian military, who was targeting civilians using similar patterns of crimes and weapons. We started working on strategic litigation in other countries, so abroad, using universal jurisdiction and extraterritorial jurisdiction, to build cases against those high-level suspects. We need to put in place some strategies to trace and track those suspects in case they travel abroad or if they have assets abroad. And so that's another very strategic component of our program. We also work with Ukrainian authorities, the prosecutors and the investigators in Ukraine right now who are investigating war crimes. To give you an idea, each prosecutor has about 1,000 cases on their desk right now. So we've been developing some very strategic, targeted training activities to build bigger cases and assist them with tools and resources so they can focus on those high-level suspects.